Hello everyone, this is my husband. This is Artemaeus Treadwell, and he has gone through some really interesting paranormal, magical events over the years, and today is actually our anniversary, so we thought what better way to celebrate than to bake our favorite cake and have some fun with a paranormal chat. So my friend, would you say that paranormal activity is contagious?
Yeah. Apparently it also comes with marriage, so.
Sometimes, in the best of cases, or the worst. I suppose it depends on how you look at it, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, right, it is contagious. What happened?
So, I don't know, we've had things happening since probably, well, let's say we've been married 4 years today. And I would say most of the accounts that I'm going to give in this interview, now that I'm thinking about it, actually didn't start until we got married, funny enough.
Yeah.
We had lived together before that, but I suppose not too terribly long, maybe about a year and a half. So, yeah. So if you want, I can start with the first one. Not in chronological order, just in an order I happen to remember.
Yes, no particular order, no particular importance, all just fun, interesting events that you truly experienced. But well, when we went on our first date, though, we had some paranormal stuff happen. There was some smaller stuff that happened during then, but the real big paranormal events, they didn't start to happen until after we got married, like he said. But yeah, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so the first one that I can recall comes off the top of my head. Recently, we were rearranging the house, doing our usual yearly cleaning, and we both had come upon a decoration. It was a little felted owl. It was about, I don't know, yay big or so.
Let me go get him.
Oh, you
go
actually
ahead and talk.
have him?
Yeah, I have him.
And we are very much in enjoyment of natural elements, and so we've decorated the home almost as if it were, a piece of the outdoors. And owls are one of the things that we, every time we come across them, and whenever they're interestingly made, we collect them, and they get propped up throughout the house. And so this little guy, I came across him just sitting in one of the trees that we have about the house, and I looked at him for a little while, and I had her come over and I said, do you remember where we got this? Because I don't recall where we got this, and we remember every single owl that we've purchased wherever they've been purchased from. But this little guy, with his little fuzzy face and all, sitting on a pine cone, I could not recall. So I asked her if she had recalled where we had purchased him. Nada.
No.
So this little guy literally just popped up hanging out in one of our trees, and neither one of us can recall where he came from. So.
And interestingly too, we don't have any other owlets like this guy, nor have either one of us seen one like this. He is furry. He's made of some type of fur type material. We've never ever seen an owl that is furry like this, and although he's a mystery, he's one of our absolute favorites now.
Yeah, just the particular elements that we have of our owl collection, they're all made from usually more natural materials, and we remember them each individually for their characteristics in that way, and typically we don't add any to our friend collection unless they are different enough, which is partly what helps them to stick out in our minds as memorable. So yeah, he now joins our little group of owls, or owlets, as she calls them. So he's a welcome addition, if not a curious one, because neither one of us recall inviting him specifically into the house. But he is very cute.
Yes, I think so.
The second one, this one happened a little bit earlier in our relationship. I recall, I think I was waking up, and I know I tend to be a little bit more of the logical, skeptical type. I will attribute things at first to perhaps known scientific reasons for whatever that's worth. And so this one is a little sketchy for me, but still something that I'd never quite seen before. As I was waking up one morning, I recall looking above our door frame and seeing what appeared to me to be sort of like a hazish mirage. And it was strange because it was in a not any particular shape, but something that was definitely in one spot. It didn't, cover the room like you might expect. If you're coming out of sleep, there might, be just your eyes adjusting so everything looks a little bit hazy and strange, but this wasn't the case. It was something that was hovering just above the door, and what I apparently later came to understand was a phenomenon that a lot of people describe as glimmerman. And nothing came of it, nothing happened. I just remember waking up more and being awake enough to realize that I was awake, but still there being something just not really shimmering, but just as if
like it was a heat wave or something, maybe?
Yeah, something we'll say maybe a warping of what it is that I could actually see. So as if you were looking through a piece of glass where there might be things that are distorted, but it was more like a mirage, like you would see kind of consistently moving in one spot. So
have you seen the Predator movies? Actually,
thank you.
That's what a lot of people compare it to.
Yes, that.
Yeah. And this happened about a week after I had my own glimmerman or glimmer person experience.
Glimmer thing,
I like that. So I used to be a professional tarot reader, and I was very into offering healing and paranormal counseling services to people. And there was one afternoon in another house that we lived in, the one actually right before this one, where I was sitting at my workstation and I was doing a tarot reading for someone. And I heard one of our trees, one of our faux pine trees, the one near the door, it was all the way across the house.
This was in the same house that I had my experience.
Yeah,
actually.
It was 1 week before you had yours. So I was sitting here doing this reading, talking and recording and everything for my customer, my client. And I heard a weird rustle at the other end of the house where the tree was right by our front doors as our welcome home tree. And I stopped and I turned in that general direction and said, "Hello, is anyone there?" And then I turned more because I heard a little bit more rustling, and I turned just in time to be able to see what looked like the size of an actual person, somewhere between 5.5 and 6 feet tall. But it was not shimmering, but it was that warped kind of predator appearance or glimmerman type appearance. This thing was rushing in front of the tree, and then it rushed down the hallway back to where I used to keep a craft room. And although I didn't get that on camera, I got the rustling noise, and I got me on camera stopping to turn around and investigate. And I'm used to a lot of paranormal things happening, so I just decided not to give it any more attention and just go back to filming this reading. And that is the backstory of our glimmer mist.
Glimmer thing experiences.
Glimmer thing experiences.
Yeah, haven't seen anything like that before or since.
Same. Oh, even the guys over at Expanded Perspectives, they've been doing this for years. Expanded Perspectives, by the way, is another show here on YouTube. Those two guys have only ever heard of a few cases of glimmer men, glimmer things, whatever you'd like to call them, being inside someone's house. So apparently it's very rare. I would love to know what it is.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to add that, as I continued to stare at it, fully awake, it did eventually just kind of dissipate. But yeah, yours escaped through some other avenue, and mine, I guess, just became perhaps invisible to me. Something to perhaps consider is that, in your quasi-awake state, some people in that, I guess, a liminal space, you would call it.
It's liminal.
You may, if you, perhaps somebody like me who might be a little more skeptical or perhaps not on that vibration, a little bit more physically earth-based, may not be able to see things like that unless they are in a meditative or a liminal state, which would be that, just awakening. And then as I completely woke up and everything, your whatever that default mode network in your brain kicks back on, you're no longer able to see those things. So that's another potential explanation that I've come to that still sounds scientific to me. That makes sense. It has to make sense to me. So, but anyway,
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Something,
though, that still makes absolutely no sense to me is the next story. When I misplaced my cell phone. I did not misplace my cell phone. It disappeared into another dimension for a period of time. Somebody punked me, or I punked myself. I don't really know. But I had, like most people, forgotten where I put my cell phone. I'm looking for my cell phone one morning, and we tore the house apart looking for my cell phone. Places that I had not even been.
We had just been in bed, like watching a movie or something.
Yeah.
It was literally right there beside us in the bed with my phone.
Mm-hmm. And so it didn't make any sense to me that it would be anywhere else, but I thought, okay, let me just, I don't know, maybe I was out of my body or my mind for a little while and I put it in the fridge or something. I don't know, like starting to reach for some really ridiculous places and explanations for what happened to my phone. And after a period of time, finally, I forget what caused us to actually peel up the fitted sheet.
Do you want me to tell you?
Do you remember? Because I don't remember why we did that.
Yeah, because we were so frustrated. We had torn apart the entire house and we had stripped the bed. We stripped the blankets that we had. We had sorted through all the blankets. We looked everywhere in the room, everywhere in the house. We could not find this phone. And interestingly too, this was right near Halloween of that year when the veil was starting to thin out. In case you guys don't know, I would consider myself an energetic empath. About as psychic as a stale ham sandwich, and that's okay. I like that. We balance each other out. Yeah. But the veil was starting to thin, and this was the first thin veil happening of that year for us, was this event. So we tore apart the entire house. We tore apart the bed. We shook out the blankets because we had 2 blankets. We were sure that we had left it right there with my phone. We couldn't find it, and so just out of sheer frustration, you took off the fitted sheet. There was nothing. You were running your hand like this over top of the bed and everything, and then that's when we took off the protector.
The mattress protector, which was another layer fitted underneath the fitted sheet, and there underneath the mattress protector was my phone.
But it popped up out of nowhere because you had been running your hand. Yeah,
there was no reason for it to have. It's not like we peeled all of that up and then put it all back and then thought maybe we should try this again. And somewhere in that shuffle, it ended up underneath there. No. We hadn't peeled up the mattress protector at all prior to that point. No. And sure enough, there it was. And like she said, it was almost like it popped up out of nowhere. We were looking elsewhere in the room, and then all of a sudden, there it is underneath the mattress protector.
Didn't it start ringing too, like as soon as we... Because I remember it started making some kind of noise when we plucked it out from underneath the bed.
Yeah, but
I don't remember exactly what.
I was going to say, did we... I don't think we had tried to call it because my phone was on like permanent silent and it wouldn't have mattered anyway. So that, to anybody going, why didn't you just call it? Because I wouldn't have heard it. So, but yeah.
It did start to make some kind of noise, but I can't remember what.
There was absolutely zero explanation in my mind as to why or how it could have ended up underneath 2 fitted things on the mattress that we hadn't, at least the fitted or the mattress protector, we hadn't disturbed at all in that period of time from the time that I had last seen the phone, which was an hour prior to before we sat down to watch TV or something. Well,
here's the thing too, we both watched each other the entirety of the time. So there was no way that we could have pranked each other with that either. We were both equally as stunned and frustrated.
Yeah.
And you need your phone for work, so you couldn't have exactly been out of a phone.
Yeah, I think we were frustrated even at that point because I was potentially needing to head to work soon or something like that.
It was something like that, or you had to check your schedule for the next day or something.
This was going on, what?
Oh, this was
4
several years
now?
ago. Yeah.
Probably about 4 years ago now. So.
Yeah, this was before I started keeping a diary of everything that happened.
Yeah. But I remember that very distinctly. That one will never leave me because I can't possibly explain. Sometimes there are things where you think, maybe I'm mistaken, or maybe no. This was definitely not one of those times.
Right. And the curse words that you let fly when we found it.
Something like son of a, and yeah. So yeah, no, I was very that was an interesting intersection of feelings. We'll just put it that way.
I think it'll stick with you for life.
Forever, yeah. As well as this next experience that, unless you have anything to add in particular, this segues perfectly into, speaking of marital. So this next story is about a pretty typical argument that I think happens in marriage, where the perhaps masculine half says that they went and looked for something that the feminine half asked for, and proclaims that said thing does not exist, could not find it at all, and the feminine person will go out and look for said thing, and then magically it's there, despite the fact that the masculine person indeed did spend much time looking for it, or in the case of some perhaps more lazier masculines, they'll say that it doesn't exist because they just don't want to do the work. But that was not the case with me. Mm-mm. She had asked for a particular set of items to complete a project, and I went out to the garage dutifully and searched every bin that we had out there. Could not find what it was that she was looking for. And so I told her, we don't have it, sorry. I have to go to work now, so, we'll figure it out later. Well, you went into the garage after I had said, can't find it. And right inside the door, no looking required, was the bin with the things that she requested.
Yep. And it was open and staring me in the face, and I was very upset.
I received a very upset message while I was at work, and I promised her that I really did look and that I really did not see it, and that I was sorry that had caused some inconvenience in the day. However, what was it eventually that ended up happening some weeks later?
It was 3 weeks later. It was my cat coming out of the pavement. I skit you not. These two incidences were actually so impactful for me, well, for both of us really, but especially for me in my paranormal career, that in working with Tim Swartz and Zontar Press, if you'd like to read more about all of the details of both of those incidents, they're going to be in the new upcoming book that Tim, I, and our team are working on, which has to do with time anomalies and related phenomena. But yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I received an apology after you had not been able to locate your cat, and then witnessed her quite literally crawl out of the pavement.
The years dried pavement. I thought I was losing my mind, y'all.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So for the bin of jars that I asked him to bring in, I knew that it was there. I knew, quote unquote. And so when I went out there to find them, I expected to find them buried somewhere that maybe he didn't think to look or he couldn't get to or something. And when I saw them sitting on top of, it was on top of a stack of bins right there, like less than 10 feet from my face when I opened the door, I was very upset. But about 3 weeks later, he and I were sitting on our back patio and we were having a really nice morning. And we noticed that we hadn't seen my cat in several hours. And so Evie likes to hide sometimes, and I looked all throughout the house for her. I could not find her. And then when I went back out to the patio to complain to Artemaeus about this, I sat down and somewhat gave up. And then I looked off and I forget if it was to the right or the left of my peripheral vision slightly, I saw movement, and when I looked at it directly, I swear to you this is a true story, and it is the weirdest even experience that I've ever had. I've seen some stuff. This is by far the weirdest. I saw movement, I looked at it directly, and I saw my cat pulling herself up out of the concrete, the years dried, crusty concrete, as though it was chilled jello. And she looked like she was struggling for just a few seconds, but then it was like she was literally just coming out of it, and it was firmly fit around her body, but then she just walked up to me like it was no big deal.
Yep. And then I received the apology.
The apology of a lifetime. And I will never ever question whether or not he has found something ever again, because even if he is fibbing because he's tired or something, which I don't think you do that to me now.
No.
There is literally always the possibility that it just poofed there out of nowhere. Yep. And we actually had something else happen. There was a bin when we first moved in. You remember this?
Oh yeah, this one I don't remember quite as well, so you'll probably have to tell it. But it's a vaguely familiar memory.
Yeah, I know you remember it. You just we were both tired at that time. And,
we had just moved in.
Yeah, you were fed up at the time.
Stuff was just everywhere, trying to find things that you need just to, eat or sleep after all that. Yeah, live after moving house. And so, yeah, you can tell the story probably better than me.
Sure. So we could not find the bin that had all of our kitchen utensils.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and you were hungry, and I was getting there, and we just could not find this bin. We tore apart the whole house, the whole garage. We checked the U-Haul. We checked the car. It was not there. We opened everything. We were standing in the kitchen like, well, what now should we do? Do we have to go buy all new things from Walmart or whatever? And just as we were about to give up and buy new things, we turned around to leave the kitchen, and both of us literally hit our shins on the gray bin that just appeared there quite literally out of nowhere. And we opened it up, and guess what was there?
All the kitchen supplies that we were looking for.
Every single thing.
The bin that I knew I had packed, what I had put in there, which is why I was looking specifically for that bin. I knew it had what I needed. Right. And so it wasn't like, no, there's some bins with some things and they're spread throughout. It was very specifically packed. We had, at least in this move, it just was across town, so we knew, what was where for the most part.
Yeah.
And just had help with the bigger things, moving those from the truck into the house. The bins we had mostly all moved ourselves. And so, yeah, but that one, literally, that bin just appeared right there behind us. So
we said a quantum prayer of gratitude, happy to have it back, and thankful to whomever or whatever gave it back or put it there or remanifested it for us, and we just went about our day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might have grumbled a little bit, but...
Yeah, you did. You were hungry. You were grumpy and hungry.
Yeah. So, this last story, though, is a little less sure for me. This is one of those that, I wonder if it wasn't just a trick of, my peripheral vision, but then again, I'm not so sure. I was at a client's house doing some work in their dining room, and I recall looking down the hallway towards the living room, the couch, And I had what I thought very specifically, thought I had seen very specifically was something about, I don't know, 8 to 10 inches tall, with legs that looked a little bit humanoid. It had darted under the couch, and there was nothing around. The clients were in other rooms. They didn't have other pets or, children or, giant cockroaches or anything like that. Very clean environment.
They didn't have paranormal ants.
Yeah, paranormal ants, right. So I could not attribute that to anything in particular because it wasn't something that I saw directly. It was something that kind of out of the periphery I caught. But on the same token, it was caught enough of it that to me it appeared to have that very definite shape and size, something, almost like what I imagine a small elf, gnome, fairy individual would look like. And just enough of it that I could tell it had been standing there watching me, and then as I actually focused on it, it darted right under the couch. And I went over there, I looked, I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, that's a big dust bunny, but maybe there was something like that, and looking under there, and, was it something that rolled under there because of, I don't know, the air conditioning kicked on and there was something in the house. But again, this is a very immaculately kept house with no children or, one pet, but the pet was not on the floor anywhere in that area at the time, and also a pet much larger than what I saw, and it couldn't have been a toy or anything like that. So that one still I pigeon eye at because I'm just not sure, but still something a little more definite to me than perhaps other peripheral vision glitches or experiences in that way.
Makes sense. So I forgot to ask you before, what color did you see? What color was it? Was it brownish or reddish or orangish by any chance?
Actually, it was more of a. This might sound silly, but like a cream combination of brown and white.
Interesting.
Like a tan color more.
Okay, I was asking because one of the upcoming episodes is about the Scottish brownie and house fairies, and they often had reported that quite literally these little beings were a brownish color.
All right. Well.
So shades of brown a lot of the time, or reddish, orange, something like that. And I was wondering, given everything that I know, that I've experienced, and what I've learned about history, I wondered if your client maybe had a brownie living there.
Yeah.
Because this person or this family, they keep that house really clean, and cleanliness is really important, at least from what I understand, because it provides like a clean, energetic plate or slate, you could say, for them to work with, and they're very attracted to that. And even myself, it feels very different. Like a dirty or cluttered place versus a really clean place, as long as it's actually genuinely clean and it's not like dusty and neglected. If they're actually as immaculate as what you said, it would make sense to me.
Yeah, very clean.
Yeah.
Neither one of those individuals, to my knowledge, really believed in any of that. And perhaps, if they had paranormal experiences, most people don't talk about it openly like that, especially with professional relationships, work associates. But they were people originally, though. I think they're from either Colorado or Pennsylvania, somewhere more northern clime, had come down this area to retire. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know the heritage of these people by any chance?
No. Although for some reason Pennsylvania Dutch is sticking in my mind, but
well, if that is true, then that would make all the sense in the world, because they do seem to follow those types of families and bloodlines.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but that was, I only ever had one experience like that in their house anyway. That might be the only one of that particular experience that I've had, and that was some time ago. Haven't had anything since in that way.
You don't remember the time that you told me about the other one in the client's closet?
Closet?
Yeah.
No.
Oh. this was several years ago. Essentially, he had told me that he saw movement in another client's customer's closet, and that it had rattled some of the clothes.
Interesting.
From the corner of your eye.
Yeah, that is something that we also experience too, is differences in our realities.
Yeah, what I attribute to the switching of timelines sometimes. So the Mandela Effect, we're both highly Mandela affected. Well, there are a few people in your family too who have been highly affected. That we've even witnessed them talk about this. It was really interesting. So it seems to run in your family, at least to some degree.
Yeah, where she will have memories of specific things that we have shared together, and very in-depth memories, things that I would not forget, places that we've been. It's not necessarily like, conversations that we've had, which I'll fully admit, plenty of conversations that we've had that I do not recall. But places is probably pretty normal. Places, though, that we visited, whole memories, afternoons spent somewhere doing something, where she will say, remember that time when... And I have zero memory of it. It's not even like we had different memories of the same event. I was never there.
Never happened.
I never did those things, and so and we've had that vice versa, or even with things that once used to be favorites. Oh, I love this, or oh, I hate this, and that will switch or change for us too. So
I've run into other couples too who have had the same type of experiences. And I wrote about them in the chapters that I submitted to our dear friend Tim over at Zontar, because apparently it seems like as we're moving forward in time or reality, whatever you'd like to call it, it seems like this is becoming more and more common of an occurrence between couples and families and even friends and sometimes coworkers.
Yeah,
it's fascinating to me.
Which puts a whole new spanner in the works for. I suppose building trust in relationships, because there are plenty of people who would take advantage of that and say that they didn't do or didn't say something that they actually did, and then might try to gaslight and say, oh, that must be, your reality, and, no, that didn't happen. So having good trusting relationships that you can actually believe when someone says, no, indeed, that seems to be a different quantum reality that you have memories from. So not to make things more complicated as far as relationships go, as if they aren't already. However, that is something that we have come to terms with, and as far as forgiveness goes, it's a fantastic exercise in forgiveness, because if it really is something like that quantum reality shift that's out of your control, there's no one to blame there. It's just, okay, let's accept it and move on, do the best you can with it. So
yep, I completely agree. A lot of these occurrences, all of these occurrences have been completely outside of our control. And even back in the day, when I was a professional paranormal investigator and a professional paranormal counselor, I did run into situations where couples or friends, family were really upset with each other, or even some individual clients thought that they were going absolutely off the deep end because they were having these things happen. And that led me to work with people more on my own frame of mind. So introducing to them the idea of different quantum timelines and different realities, and how not to drive yourself crazy and ruin your relationships and your future opportunities by accepting that all of these things may indeed exist, and here is how we can work with them. This gets more into, though, existential types of therapies, where we're looking around and we're just seeing and admitting, like, okay, maybe it is really absurd, the nature of life here. How can we best roll with this and just have a happy, healthy life? There's a lot of radical acceptance within that. There's a lot of forgiveness for oneself and for others.
Resilience.
Tons and tons of resilience, and the self-teaching of logic and self-soothing, and
The art of Wu Wei.
Yes, it is really it's a whole thing, and it is a journey that is only for the strong in my experience. Yeah. It's a heck of a ride, really and truly, especially if you're taking it with someone who is alongside you.
It is a weird walk home, isn't it?
It is. It really is. I love it. I really love it. And I'm happy to share it with you. So, do you have any other stories that you'd like to share?
Nope.
All right. You want to wrap this one up?
Sounds good. Time to say
hello to my little friend. Happy holidays from all of us at the Weird Walk Home.